Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. How is everyone doing, and I hope for you a good start of the weekend. In today's video, we will be having two games. I felt that the matchmaking wasn't fair with me, giving me either a textbook game where I can easily carry or impossible unwinnable games with rabid people. Hence, I decided to show you a little bit of both. Well, the first game went on my side according to my evil plan. A perfect start on the enemy red buff going unnoticed. This plan is totally custom made to push my top laner lead further. Sometimes the enemy jungler will also invade my camps, but in this exact setup, he will be having a better opening hand, if I may say, into my bot side. So far, and I am not lying, I think I've never lost a 1v1 against the enemy in his jungle at the level 3 mark, and this is before and after the buffs in the past 5 patches. That tells a lot about Volibear early game power. Now, if you are trying to mimic this approach, there are some hidden tips or techniques that you should be aware of. First is you should always put the ward as late as possible to guarantee that you will spot the enemy jungler. Second, you need to finish the red buff before the 2 men 10 seconds time so that you can slip before the spawning wave. And the last tip I can provide to you is only show yourself when you can be sure there is a kill. Otherwise, don't gank and do your full clear. And if you wonder why you will be so ahead than the enemy jungler in the safest way possible while playing aggressively, and make sure to spam ping your enemy, since the enemy jungler will have some spare time and he will 100% gank. Hence, if his ganks are not successful, you are already winning by doing simply your camps. Now, the first gank and first clear are hugely into our favor, and on top of that we got the first blood. This means we are having a better chance in carrying this game, but many of you will try to push their lead on top side by starting from the bot side, and that is a good way of thinking. But sometimes there is always a better thing to do. Viego didn't show himself at all. Hence, he can be right now doing our topside camps, and since I can maul him out of existence, I did something I never do at all, and that is getting tier 1 boots and run to my blue buff. This might look like a bad path to opt for, but as Volibear player, if you feel that you need to fight, then you have to fight. This is how you know that your team is shit, not all of them, but at least the solo laners. They went for a very bad play after a good counter invade. But we as jungler truly don't care much about it, since we know that we can take Viego 1v1 easily. And like this, you are in the dimension of, I will carry by myself. It is a feeling validated by a series of actions that went totally in your favor. Now, since our bot side is slightly ahead, we will perform an instant transfer of our lead to them so that we push further our advantage. I usually don't do this, but as of this moment, it is the most logical decision we can make to the best of my knowledge. This play was intended for the duo to facilitate the dragon call. You will notice that I don't gank off in the mid lane because I feel there is no point in ganking that lane when they are both even, since it is to our advantage to keep that lane in a stalemate. 2 mages that are building for the mid-game fight seems like a fair deal for the both teams. If you play jungle as I do, you will notice that you will lose most of your games if you take the mid tower first, and you will win most of your games if you take the top tower first, because most of Emerald players and below don't know the meaning behind taking each tower. And since topside is an isolated island and help doesn't come there most often, taking that tower will generate for you continuous income from topside farm and kills, unlike mid lane where you need to keep invading and fighting to keep that lead going on. But to be honest, if you take that tower first, you simply ruin the AD carry game, since he will overextend and die for free. So, the formula is this. Take rush top tower if you want a normal game, take mid tower if you want a high-paced game, and only take the bot side tower if the AD carry can hold his own as a solo laner. This is a bit funny, but the enemy choose to air ram their way to victory while we are having the Herald buff. It is a given that even if they manage to take a tower, we will most likely respond with 2 towers and an inhibitor if we are lucky. As you might think that we are winning in kills, but you should always respect your enemy picks, and one of those picks that you should always be careful about is Trundle. If they manage to catch us off guard with one pushed lane, he can end the game. That is why I advise you that in the mid-game you tune down your gameplay from a grizzly bear into a polar bear, with just making necessary plays. The other part that I also need to mention, we are squishy, but we are super fast and can do serious damage. That is why if we decide to go for a kill, it must be an important target, or the benefit can outweigh our death. Otherwise, in this situation, as long we can get free gold, that what we should be doing for us first, then for the team second. Speed is the most broken aspect in this game, that Ashe is very obnoxious and slippery. But one thing for sure, she only lived now to die another day. The enemy team formation is collapsing because they don't have a real front line. Trundle will be tanky if I go defensive stats. And since we went for speed first, he won't benefit much from using subjugate on me. However, if the enemy manages to focus me even for one tiny second, I am dead. You might think that this talk is very optimistic and the game is over, but trust me, I lost so many games and I was way ahead than this, simply because my team are lazy or suffer from ADHD and have a short attention span for the minimap. Hence, winning a game is not a destination, but it is a journey, and you only get the W after you complete it while playing well consistently. Also, it felt nice having a reactive support, since we can clear and secure most of the crucial spots always before taking any major objective, and T1 was displaying a vigorous performance throughout the game. Mid was your perfect mage bot that only throw abilities once their cooldown is up, and topside kept trash-talking all game. Your typical inflated ego Kale player that thinks he's a good player due to his skill and not due to his champion constant push by Riot cinematics. But overall, the game was totally in my control, and most of the actions were executed as I imagined them directly from my mind to reality, and that how it always should be. You make a game plan, and you stick to it, and you keep repeating this process to perfection. Once you reach a satisfactory level, then you are in the winning state no matter what happens in your game. But now I welcome you to the other side of the previous story. The moment I set foot in this game, I felt that I can't carry against their composition because, well, if you look at it, I assume you will have the same feeling. If you watch or have read Blue Lock, there was a question that the main character was asked against some famous German player, and that was, could you beat me with your most ideal logic possible? If you hesitate in answering that question once you see any composition, then that game is where you become a shadow instead of being the late that leads the team to victory. Our carry in this game can be anyone, even Lulu herself. But we wouldn't know until the laning phase is over, and it didn't start well for us. We revealed our location, and our composition is mid to late game oriented. And as it stands at this moment, I'll need to guarantee a safe passage for my time to reach the mid game with as much minimal damage as possible. We are 100% sure that Kai'Sa can't be our light to win this game. Sir Fatty Gregus didn't show up early, even though Trundle was slow pushing. Many red flags indicate that our carry is in the bot side. Maybe he can be the top laner once he gets some items, but we need to be sure on who is our win condition. Since I am very confident if I play passively this game with just farming and hoping for the best, we will most likely lost it before finishing our second item due to the gap difference between the two teams in terms of decision making and team composition. You are about to witness my first mistake. I wanted to help, but you should never offer assistance when you can't help yourself first. This Drake call was not worth it at all in terms of golden map pressure since we burned a lot, and on top of it died to get it. But we managed to pinpoint the carry. Baby Baron got what it takes to win this game, and our sole and only role in this game is to create for him the perfect situation where he can freely do his job. If you're wondering why in the high ELO they always go for Frozen Gauntlet, because they are almost sure that if you catch someone or absorb enough damage, you clear the path for your carry to shine. You will notice that also in the pro scene, where the jungler is very bold in the early to the start of the mid game, then his presence fade to ensure that his mid laner or AD carry can take the role of the DPS source, and he will lay down his life to make that happen. Very poetic and charming, but it doesn't work always as it should in the solo queue realm based on my humble experience. Still, it is a very cool concept, second only to the 1v9 mode backdoor hidden technique. To be honest with you, this death did induce a considerable amount of tilt, since my useless mid lane didn't want to come and we died due to the lack of damage. This indicated a lot of things. First, he is a troll and we should delete his presence from our mind and subconscious. Second, we need to use him as a bait to ensure that if the enemy team goes to kill him, we are already making a play on the other side of the map. The second part is hard to implement, because most of players will go to help each other, and I'm chat restricted and I can't type to my team my plan. So the luck factor is slightly having a larger impact on the game, and our only option is to lead by example, in the hope that our carry will notice that and start matching our calls accordingly. Unlike the other game, where I stated that in the mid-game we should be safe and make rational calls. While you are tanking, you should be provocative, as if you are asking others to damage you. This way of playing will eventually make an offensive enemy play into a counterattack. Since we did ignite their call, and we won't die due to our tanky build, however, you should make taunts with a plan in mind and not spamming them for no reason. You will simply look like an idiot after a while. This is out of context, but if you didn't know, Riot is planning to nerf Volibear. The reason is, and I quote, "Volibear players are having fun and a bit too much fun." And they also stated that the champion have only one linear playstyle, and that is oppressive. While on the other hand we have Trundle that is a sleeping OP pick for years now and no one is complaining. I am sure that one of you guys went very hard on a Rioter in game, and he complained to the balance team. What a bunch of crybabies those guys. This is why you go offensive stats against Trundle. But we chose this at the start not for ourselves, but for the sake of our team, and specifically for our baby Baron. It hurts sometimes to be the shadow since we know that only death awaits after each skirmish. But not everyone is willing to do what it takes to be a winner. Don't mistake my words. We are not useless. We are just not at our optimal state yet. Because if we choose to be our best Volibear, we will lose the game sadly. It is hard to swallow sometimes, and because in this situation the enemy is yourself. You win 3 games in a row, and suddenly all your calls amount to nothing, and the enemy is simply one step ahead either by their macro or their champion's picks. That is your cue to be the shadow and not the light, and trust me, the results will amaze you once you understand that your role is never the same in every game. After this game, I decide to ban Kaisa so that I don't get it on my team in the mid lane. But her death is good to us, since Trundle used his ultimate, and once we get our hands on someone, they can't run away. One of the great perks of this build Frozen Gauntlet into Spirit Visage, infinite sustain and stickiness. It might feel like a blow under the belt, but our enemy picked the anti-fun team. They might be having fun, but you are not enjoying your stay in this game as an engager or a tank, because you can bench watch a Netflix series under CC, and never see a colorful screen again until the game is over. Yep, hard times. We have been fighting for a while now in a 4v5 situation due to some unknown reasons. I can't type to flame him. Hence, this guy is a zombie or an NPC that bought an account from eBay, and he is now terrorizing the Rift. My plan is to never play around him and wait until his push draws an enemy, and then we can make an impactful play. However, the baby Baron disagree with my play and doesn't follow the call for Baron. I mean, they secured the Drake with wards, and it is only the second Drake. Baron is just there sitting for free, and baby Baron got Rage Blade and Blade of the Ruined King. I mean, we will be trolling if we don't take the Baron buff. The only way I had to rely my message to them is by not showing it all around the Drake, and it is up to them to either understand it or keep dying around zombie Kaisa. Finally, nothing else beside the Baron buff and my team decided to group in against Ashe and Zac. They have the luxury to choose when to engage on us. That is why the moment you can spot a disparity in their location, or a chance to catch someone, just do the no-brain Volibear play and jump. It's called the leap of faith. Since we already accepted death as an outcome, we are making out of it the best outcome for our team, not for us. A fair warning, if the game is going very badly, you might get reported for inting. But that is a risk we are all willing to take as long as we are fulfilling our role. After 30 minutes of gameplay, this is the first breather of the game. Right now, we are ahead, but not in a comfy situation. Also, it is obvious that I can't win against him with this setup. But also, he can't instantly kill me. It will be a slow death, but he won't get much out of it in terms of game pressure. I wonder now, who is subjugating the other now? I think this build is suited more to the Captain Volibear skin, since you can take someone under arrest while you can't kill him right away, but you won't let him go easily. I am sure we just violated his Fifth Amendment. Sorry, buddy, from here on out, I'll try to make you as useless as possible around these neighborhoods. This play is totally my mistake. I went with the play to help Sir Gregas. But Baby Baron wasn't with us and my engage only burned our ultimate spells. But all this talk about being the Shadow must have a practical application in the game. Well, yes, it is called Knight's Vow. This item will create a symbiotic relationship with our carry and build a bond between us. This will enable two things. First, Cog will start making ballsy plays since he is tanky now. And second, he knows that no matter what, I'll be around him to keep the passive going. Hence, this should start enforcing the role of the carry in his mind. As if we are saying, just let loose. We are behind you, Sir Baby Baron. Hopefully, he got what it takes to perform the Spirit Bomb technique. Otherwise, it will be a huge letdown and the only solution left is to go to sleep. No more games after this loss. That last play tells a lot about our composition. Kaisa can only poke. Fatty can only troll and our damage is completely focused on Cog. Lulu is tier 2 shadow for the Baby Baron. And that leaves us with only one role and that is the Catalyst. We catch people and fight backwards to peel for the ramping Sperm Cog. We are in the late stage of the game. Every death must have a meaning now. We kill an enemy, it is either a tower or a Baron. And if we get more than 2 kills, then we can force the Nexus and hopefully come victorious. Oh, action is coming. I think this is how Riot imagine every game should be like. We play passively for 20 minutes, then we start making plays and we win as a team or lose as a team. I think they need to make around 20 to 30 tutorial games to teach players that, instead of letting us go with trial and error and in the end, get chat restricted or banned because we can communicate in a world of fists with our words. And with that, my dear viewers, our time together have come to an end. Make sure to leave me a comment or subscribe if you are new to the channel. I try to sum to you all my normal playstyle in 2 different games against the same enemy composition, but rest assured the bear is far from being a linear champion. This demonstrates that Riot Balance team don't play Volibear at all. Otherwise, we would be seeing a different type of changes to our lovely champion. As usual, I hope you have enjoyed the video and make sure to enjoy what you do, whatever that might be. Take care everyone and peace.